What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate. Reverse rants, no hate. Shakur, Stevenson, Edwin Santos. Hey, audience, are y'all still sleeping? Fight's over. Okay, gotta say it like it is. It was a boring stinker of a fight. Am I shocked? No, because like I always tell you guys, things happen in fights. They don't always go the way that you think they are. So even when I picture a fight, if I imagine it, I look at what the fighters do. I don't try to give a fighter an advantage. I just look at what they do and how more realistically it may play out. And we can always be wrong because you do not know what's going to happen come fight night. Now, pretty much, let me go to Shakur's words before I go into what I saw. Shakur said that basically no excuses. It was just him. He had a bad performance. He held himself to a very high standard, and don't give him credit for a bad performance. Okay. They, a commentator asked, not a commentator, an interviewer asked him, did he hurt his hand in the fight? Well, if he hurt his hand, he must have hurt his hand putting the gloves on, because he fought the first round all the way to the last round the same exact way. So basically, he said, and he was saying no excuses, and constantly no excuses. But he did say, well, someone asked him something about when did you know it was a bad night or something wasn't going your way. He said, I was telling people before I came to the ring. Okay. We've heard Sugar Ray Leonard, when he fought Terry Norris, say he felt great in training camp. He felt great the night before, the day of. It was on the way to the ring. We've heard Deontay Wilder say he felt great, and then, the costume wore his legs, whatever. The one thing that fighters don't want to say is, look, the guy's a good fighter. He gave me trouble. I couldn't figure him out. And the fight went the way it went. Okay. You was asked, was your hand hurt? He never said no. When Anthony Joshua was asked, was it true he was concussed or all the things, Joshua just straight up said, look, I was fine. The better man won. Simple. No excuses whatsoever. Okay? Errol Spence. Look, no excuses. I accepted the weight, this, that, whatever. He made none. He said he definitely want the rematch, but hopefully at 154. So people, but Derrick James said the weight wasn't the problem. I don't care what Derrick James said. Bottom line is, the man wouldn't ask for that 154 if he didn't feel some kind of way. Now, at the end of the day, he made no excuses. And I don't care if it's 154, 160, 168, whatever the weight class they would choose. Tactically, he has to be a much better fighter than he was that night. Okay? And the big question is, can he be? So, no excuses was made. Shakur Stevenson never said his hand wasn't hurt. Okay? But no excuses. I told people before the fight that, it wasn't, the fight came to the ring, like, it wasn't going to be a good night. Okay? Now, what I saw was this. Yeah, Edwin was talking his shit, calling out Shakur, and I'm your daddy, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. He's the big puncher. Okay. They had this fight labeled skill versus power. Okay. Edwin was trying to get touched and get outpointed, let Shakur build up points. But he also couldn't get in because Shakur just kept hopping back. He didn't want to engage. And every time that Edwin got close, he just grabbed. He did nothing. Neither one of them did nothing. Okay? Shakur was scared to get punched. He basically was scared of Edwin's power, and he stayed on the back foot the whole fight. And no combination, just one punch at a time. When Edwin would try to throw more than one punch, like I said, Shakur would back up, but he wouldn't even counter most of the time. Pretty much he was just going backwards. And then there was nothing going on. Now, you know how Tim Bradley feels about Shakur. So he was saying, I think the second round was, whatever round it was, I know it was early. He was saying that, Shakur tries to figure you out. He's not worried about the crowd. He's used to dealing with that. He's professional. He was trying so hard to lean towards Shakur. Shakur was doing nothing. Neither was Edwin. Okay, it was a boring-ass, stinky fight. And what made me laugh, I think it was after the fourth round, was it Tim or one of them said, one of the commentators, I don't remember, one of them said something like, Shakur Stevenson isn't letting his hands go, and he definitely isn't being first. He's definitely not landing first. Yet they had it 4-zip for Shakur. So it was just like, wait, so if he's not landing first and he's not letting his hands go, how is he winning the fight? You know, like, that made zero sense. So I'm just like, that's when you really want to see, you want to lean in the direction of a fighter, but they're not doing anything that you can really say he won that round. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm just like, okay, it is what it is. I don't really care about the decision. I mean, nothing. It was. The fight was so boring. Honestly, I'm sitting there watching. Now, I'm thinking, look, people love to say styles make fights, which is true, but people just becomes, that's just like a saying that's just become like overkill. You know, everybody that fights Tank, that's naturally bigger than Tank. Doesn't matter that they fight at a smaller weight class or the same weight class, but their confidence in beating Tank is that they're naturally a bigger fighter and feel like come fight night without a rehydration clause, they're going to be too big for Tank. And, you know, oh, he gets hit. We heard Riley run his mouth with that. We heard Ryan say the same thing, and they both, you know, he knocked out Riley. He basically broke Ryan's will and made him quit in the ring. So it's like, we know Tank can crack. A taller fighter trying to reach and come forward is going to basically give Tank the advantage to catching him. And that's the thing about Tank. He has patience, and Tank has fast feet and fast hands. People underestimate his hand speed. Tank get those shots there, and his accuracy is crazy. If Shakur was afraid to engage with De Los Santos, what makes y'all think that he's going to go in there and engage with Tank? And the funny thing about it is, people keep saying Shakur's the only one that can beat Tank. And I'm saying to you guys, look, do you know how similar Shakur and Devin is? Devin is willing to engage more than Shakur is. Shakur fought Jamel Herring, and he fought, what's the other guy he fought? Oscar Valdez. He fought them more because he had a very, like, hands much faster. He could get the shot off much faster. And basically, neither one of those guys are defensively as sound as De Los Santos. Okay, and they can't crack the way he can. So at the end of the day, and he was much bigger than, he's a bigger guy. And, you know, Herring, you know, pretty much, he was good, but, you know, come on, Shakur just better than him. So what was it about De Los Santos? So the excuse is always going to be, you know, I'm better than that. You know, I should have been doing this and that, instead of saying he was good enough to where I didn't do the things that I wanted to. I thought that I could, but I just felt different when I got in there. They don't want to say that. So he did enough to keep Edwin at bay, and Edwin did enough to keep him at bay. So neither one of them was really trying to take advantage, to take over this fight. And basically, if Edwin would have got rough, now, I'm not saying get desperate and go in and just start swinging for the fences, no. But he needed to make this an ugly fight, and he needed to try to rough Shakur up. Shakur just goes back in a straight line, and then when he gets close, he's just going to grab him. So he needs to make this a rough fight, make Shakur fight. But, you know, you have to have it in you to do that. The thing is, even though Edwin has power, he does box. So pretty much, he needed to use his advantage, and that's go to his power shots and, you know, mix his shots up and give Shakur Stevenson, don't give him time, you know, to think. Make Shakur fight faster than he wants to. That's how you disrupt the boxer who doesn't like to mix it up. You don't try to outbox him. You know, we just seen Fury get embarrassed by Ngannou, right? So when I tell you guys things happen, I'm not really shocked when things happen. There's very few, I mean, because look, as human beings, I don't care how much hype you put on a person. I don't care how great someone is at something. Anybody can have a bad night. And also, fighters are often, a lot of times, they're better than what people anticipate, so they call it an upset. You know, I'm not referring to Ngannou. That was definitely an upset. Okay, but the point is, Who thought it would happen to Fury? No, they think that would happen to AJ or somebody else, not Fury. But it happened to Fury. So watching this fight was just like, I told you guys. Look, the biggest difference between Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson is Shakur's a southpaw. But they are very similar tactically. I like Devin Haney's body work better. His body punching is better. I think on the inside, there's times that Shakur looked better on the inside fighting than Devin did. But overall, I don't see one as dominant over the other. So I don't understand when people keep talking like Shakur is he's Floyd or something, and he's like, Floyd had bad nights and stuff, and I've seen this one have a bad night, Andre Ward, so I feel like if they can have a bad night, it's like, no, you're not Floyd, you're not as good as Floyd, you're not as good as Andre Ward. You are a good fighter, don't get it twisted. You're a solid fighter. Edwin is a solid fighter. But this is where what happens is these fighters are not as good as they think they are, and they can't just admit that the fighter, the opponent, okay, it was your opponent that kept you from coming in. That's why you didn't fight him the way you fought everyone else. So even like when Ray Leonard saying, he felt different on the ring walk, yeah. You know what that is? Reality setting in. Damn, it's about to go down. It's happening. And he realizes he's walking to that ring. He started really thinking about how dangerous Terry Norris is. Or was, and that's all that is, man. It's all of a sudden everything's fine. You just get to the ring and everything just falls apart before the bell even rings. No, that's when this he's no joke. Did I underestimate him? Should I have taken this fight? It's things that goes through a fighter's mind that people got to understand. It's easy to talk shit. It's easy to think, I can do this. It's easy to watch a person's fight and see what they do wrong and how they lost other fights and think that you're going to come in there and it's going to be different. And then all of a sudden, they're better that night. Now, if they was to have a rematch, it will come down to which fighter can make the proper adjustments. Because truthfully, looking at both of those guys fight, I felt like Edwin was going to do better than people thought. And he did, even though he didn't do much anything. But again, they both did enough to keep the other one from committing, okay? But Shakur was in retreat mode all night. And, people were saying things like, I'm telling you, Shakur gonna make a statement. Shakur gonna do this. He gonna dog walk him. He might stop him. I think he gonna stop him. I think he gonna show. And he's gonna do this and that. Now, ain't it funny how all of a sudden now comments is saying, I don't know. I think Devin washed Shakur. I think Tank will wash Shakur. It takes someone to have a bad night or not look good for people to say this kind of stuff, right? And Shakur sat there, Frank Martin's a bitch. That nigga's a straight bitch. I never seen such a bitch. What you think Frank Martin's saying about him right now after that performance? You understand what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, not saying Frank Martin beats him. Okay, not saying Frank Martin beats De Los Santos. Right? I don't know. But what I am saying is it's easy to run your mouth. But then when you get in there, how many times have Shakur Stevenson had something to say after a Devin Haney fight? Or another opponent's fight. He has something, I would have did this, I would have did that. Now you've had your moment of knowing what it's like to get in there and not look your best. You got booed, okay? And whatever big money fights that's out there, and I'm not saying that they're not still out there, who knows? But you jumped in there and sucked off Lomachenko. You talk shit about Haney. Haney's moving on doing what he's doing. Now he has to get past Regis Prograis. You know what I'm saying? And now all eyes is going to be on Haney. Let's see what he's looking like type of situation. But now, Shakur is in a position of, okay, you gotta show and prove now, man. You gotta make up for that what happened. It's one thing to have a performance like, Ray Leonard fighting Duran the wrong way in their first fight, but he lost that fight fighting. You understand what I'm saying? You guys are in your prime. It's not a situation like when the fighter starts, he's not in his prime anymore. Now he's looking more desperate in the ring. Even if he's winning, he's struggling with guys that he normally would have annihilated. You guys are struggling to having these fights in your prime. And then the thing is, when you say, don't give me credit for a bad performance and say that, I hold myself to a much higher standard and I'm much better than that. You've had better performances, right? You never fought De Los Santos, though, until last night. So now it's like, you got to take the good with the bad. It can't be all smiles and talking shit because you win. You won the fight, okay? You got the decision. That's the important part. But, the most important part And the performance, yeah, it's as important because it can, get more eyes on you and people see you as, hey, he's the next big thing. That can, that type of situation. But looking at how that fight went, it's what I'm telling you. He didn't want to get hit. What you think happens, even if he think he's too big for Tank, and that's where his confidence comes from. What you think is going to happen the first time he feels Tank's power? Even if it's a body shot to the arm, whatever, but what you think happens when he feels his power? Damn, okay, I don't want to get hit by this guy. And he's going to try to fight on the back foot. See, Shakur likes to walk guys down. If you watch how he's been fighting, right? So why was he on the back foot against De Los Santos? Because he knew it was going to be a bad night, and he couldn't think of anything. No plan B, no plan C, right? Just kept trying the same shit that wasn't working. And all it was doing was keeping him at bay, and he was comfortable with that. As long as I'm not getting hit, I'm okay. Tank has patience. And like I said, with Tank, the biggest thing for him, because of his height and reach being at a disadvantage to some degree, okay, and it's an advantage to a degree as well. As long as, Tank problem will come when his reflexes and speed start to go away. That's when his real problems will come in, because of his height and short reach and having to try to get closer and, that. But as long as he is on top of his game, just think, him trying to walk Tank down, he's going to run into something. Shakur backs up in a straight line, he comes in a straight line. He'll move his head and do this shit, but he comes in a straight line. And when he comes in, it's pretty much the same shit. Jab jab right hand. Jab left hand, And that's pretty much how he sets up almost everything. He'll move off the jab, he throws his shots over top, and pretty much, he's not really effective to the body. So what happens when Tank is touching his body? Tank start breaking him down, and Tank catches with them sneaky shots. Because the more you get confident against Tank and start trying to get reckless, that's exactly what. Even if you're trying to do it skillfully, but all of a sudden it's like, damn, this dude is catching me. All it takes is one from Tank. That's it. So, it doesn't make a difference. A fighter can say, oh, I fought such and such and he hits harder than Tank. Yeah, but you got back up. You quit against Tank. Rowdy got knocked out. Look at how many people talk that shit. That's why when he went up to 140 and knocked out Barrios, it's funny how people shed it all over Barrios, but then they're praising him now, right? And they praised him when he came up and fought Keith Thurman for effort. But they shot him down and said he was a bum when Tank beat him. So name calling doesn't mean anything. And also, you got to understand this too. For Shakur Stevenson, Tank has been there so many times already, he's used to this shit. For Shakur Stevenson, the type of shit he talks, it's like this. You're a good fighter, but you're not as good as you think you are. And that's what you found out about yourself against De Los Santos. And you've been programmed. Because why the fuck are you apologizing to Floyd and Andre Ward and I apologize for my... And please, you're a fighter, you're a human being. There is no human being on this earth, dead or alive, okay, exempt from human error. So what is the apologies for? Even if you said it to your fans, I can understand, all right, hey, look, I wanted to do better. I can understand that. But you're apologizing to people. You're programmed to say things. You're programmed to act a certain way in front of the cameras. That's what you do. I heard Shakur Stevenson in a tweet, he said he was never, ever hurt in a fight or dropped in a fight, ever. Never. And he said on an interview and admitted that he got hurt with a body shot. I forgot who he said he fought. It might have been Valdez, but somebody hit him to the body and hurt him, but he couldn't show it. But the tweet said you've never been hurt. So you say one thing and do something else. So yeah, you've been programmed to say certain things. Just understand, you're going to have good nights, you're going to have bad nights. A bad night doesn't necessarily mean you underperform. It just means that your opponent was that much better. Simple. So overall, everybody wants to win. But when you sit back and you look at the fights you were in and they were classics and, hey, I wish I won. I didn't, but hey, man, I had my moments. He had his moments and he won. That's all. I think what fighters need to do is stop talking shit and basically save it for the ring. Because pretty much the same way he can come out next fight and look spectacular. And then people will forget all about this De Los Santos fight. But what would happen if they rematched? You see what I'm saying? What does De Los Santos go for? Does he win his next fight? Shakur got the win, so pretty much. But Shakur right now got people going, that fight stunk. Just saying. That's all it was. De Los Santos was better than he thought. I don't think he really wanted to fight De Los Santos. I think it's because De Los Santos was talking shit. There was nobody else available. He wanted to fight. Frank Martin pulled out, and he was like, you know what, fuck it. He's talking shit, let's go. And I think deep down it was like, he didn't really want to fight De Los Santos. That's what I truly believe. And I think that he showed up. No, I think he trained, did what he had to do, but he got there with a guy that was better than what he thought. And the end result being what it was. So, the same way a fighter can get a L and get more respect because he went and fought his ass off, you can also get the W and lose respect because of the way you fight. So, we're saying, listen, things happen, and I'm not shocked. But at the end of the day, salute to both of them for doing what they had to do. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch y'all on the next video.